This week on WeXL Daily, our theme is Know Thyself. That phrase, know thyself, was carved into the stone of the temple of Apollo at Delphi in ancient Greece. Before seekers met the oracle, they passed those words, a reminder to look within for the answer first. We live in an era obsessed with knowing with certainty. But as we learned in a previous episode from last week's theme, Creativity in the Age of AI, research shows people who are uncomfortable in the unknown and the nebula are less creative than those who can sit in the abstract. Know thyself isn't about having answers. It's about staying curious, to keep asking. And to stay curious, we have to allow ourselves to wander. This week's interview is with my friend, Kay Link, a marketing director at a nonprofit and an artist who follows what sparks her interests. We met in an oil painting class at the Palette and Chisel Art Academy here in Chicago. We get together to make art and talk about philosophy. And she did something special for her birthday this year that made me think she would be the perfect guest for this week's theme.
I recently did the Camino de Santiago. I did the English way of the Camino, which is a walking pilgrimage in Spain. I started in the north of Spain and did about 75 miles walking to the city of Santiago. It's a long time pilgrimage that people have walked for literally hundreds of years since medieval times to the church in Santiago, which is associated with the Apostle James. I'm not Catholic, but I'm very interested in different religions. And so this was appealing to me. I took 6 days to do those 75 miles, starting in Ferrol in the north of Spain and going to Santiago.
The word pilgrim comes from the Latin peregrinus, one who travels through the land. Originally, it meant a wanderer. It reminds me of that line from J.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. Not all those who wander are lost. Some of us are just trying to find ourselves one step at a time. I asked Kay what she was looking for in this adventure. Did she find all the answers to life?
Yes, I wanted to magically have all the answers to life and for this small journey to teach me everything I needed to know about myself. And that obviously doesn't happen with anything in life. It's a slow reveal of all the secrets of life to ourselves over time.
A Stanford study finds that people generate about 60% more creative ideas while walking than sitting. Writers know this. Stephen King walks daily to keep the engine running, and Charles Dickens famously roamed London for miles, sketching scenes in his head.
Walking can really help your mental health and also give you a lot of good creative ideas. So I thought this is a great opportunity to go do that for an extended period of time, to push myself and to hopefully get some great ideas along the way. And I do feel like I got that, both some deeper self-knowledge and some creative ideas.
Movement clears the mind and lets ideas arrive on their own timeline. My next question for Kay is about her life's journey. Has she ever surprised herself from her own doing?
I surprise myself a lot. I tend to go with my gut reaction and my intuition about things. So whether that's time to move and go to a new city and try something new out, or trying to learn a new skill, I think I listen to my gut, which is not usually attached to my brain. So I'm surprised sometimes by what my intuition's telling me to do or where to go. And that sort of surprise that also feels authentic to yourself has been really meaningful. I guess I'm also surprised by the journey sometimes. So for instance, I paint, and sometimes when I'm painting, I am not happy. I am not having a good time. Sometimes it's glorious and wonderful, and I'm having a great time the whole time. But sometimes I'm painting, and it's really hard because it's not coming out the way I want it to. And it's just kind of making me feel self-conscious or hard on myself for my skills not being where I want them to be. But I think the surprise comes afterwards when even if you've produced a painting or a work of art that you're not thrilled with, it didn't come out exactly how you wanted it to, I think you can be surprised by still being satisfied with what you produced and still feeling that satisfaction with creation and with a progression of your skills, even if you're not where you want to be.
I see now the pattern on what guides Kay on her life and art journey. Curiosity, intuition, and doing. I asked Kay, how does she focus?
Focus is hard. When there's a lot of things you're interested in, it's hard to choose which one to focus on. I don't have great advice on what to do except to go along with what you feel in the moment, which might not be the best advice. But for me, it rings true. I usually have about 5 to 10 books that I'm reading at a time that I go in between because I'm interested in multiple different topics. So I jump between them based on how I feel that day. I don't know if that's the way to build skills, but I think it's the way to feel like you're connecting with what speaks to you at the time. And I think having a variety of things you're interested in and engaging with and pick up from time to time is also helpful because it feeds your other work. So if I'm doing embroidery one day, that might help my painting the next day. I think you learn in a multidisciplinary way, and topics that seem disconnected can be very connected when you put them together.
So it's not always focusing on goals or a destination. It's about the connections that we experience as we move through a multidisciplinary life, which got me curious about how Kay feels in her progress as an artist.
I'm satisfied with my progress, but I'm not satisfied where I'm at because I want to keep growing and building my skills. I feel proud of how far I've gone so far, but I know that there's a long road ahead of me, my entire life, to keep walking down. And that will be really meaningful to keep exploring that. So I'm in some ways happy that I haven't magically progressed super far in my art because I get the opportunity to slowly access the skills I want and learn new things. And I think that process is meaningful on its own. So no matter where I'm at, from beginner stage to intermediate to advanced one day, it will be nice to be where I'm at that moment in the journey. I have dreams like everyone has. I'd like to write a book and be featured in a gallery, and those small kind of wins you pick up along the way as you get interested in something. I think I'm very much a person who's just happy to be along for the journey. I don't have too many endpoints that I'm looking for. As they come along, opportunities come along, I'm happy to take advantage of those. But in the long run, I think just doing is enough.
Kay's line, just doing is enough, reminds me of the action slice in our creator's wheel of belonging. When you take action, when you simply do, that leads to belonging. I asked Kay what her advice is for other artists and creators out there.
Learn how to kind of just go down the road when you find something that sparks your curiosity and to continue to pursue it, especially with classes, books. I think engaging with materials that speak to you personally as a person. Everyone has their own unique things that appeal to them. And I think finding those things and continuing to be curious about them is the key.
Stay curious, my friends. And if you're stuck, let yourself wander. It reminds me of our Creator's Compass episode, where I shared a Figma flowchart with the questions I use to keep my work heart-centered, whether I'm creating with or without AI. There's a part that asks, does it still feel like me? And if it doesn't, it nudges me to take a break, maybe walk or write or cook, to wander back to myself. Sometimes finding your true north starts with getting a little lost. Also, making this episode made me think about literal walks. and what they do for our creativity. In San Francisco, I used to call my morning walks my kingdom roaming. I felt like the queen of the beautiful land in front of me. The foggy ocean air, the menthol of the eucalyptus, they soothed my asthma and invigorated me. Since moving to Chicago, walking feels different. The landscape is flatter and the urban air is denser. I don't get the same creative spark from walking here, but I do find other ways to wander. Sometimes it's through painting or improv comedy, which I've only taken up here in Chicago. And that's part of knowing thyself, realizing that wandering doesn't have to look the same for everyone. For some, it's a walk. For others, it's a sketch or a doodle, a poem, a recipe, or a conversation. So here's my question for you. How do you wander and follow your curiosity? Where do you go, physically or metaphysically? Please share it in the comments. I'd love to engage with you and hear about it. Thank you for being here today. Just by watching, liking, and subscribing, you're making a difference because proceeds from this channel, when they start happening, go to WeXL.org, our nonprofit that empowers kids to be more creative. Together, we excel.